Let's get over and we're going to come into.
Although I do like the.
Here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like. Yeah. Here comes the. No. Here comes the. Oh. Here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like. Yeah. Here comes the. No. Here comes the. Oh. Here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like. E-double-L. I said so. I keep big bills up in my hood on the dirty like blood. So ain't got no twist in my head, but it's
Welcome to the final episode of Irish Bill's Twist on Sports for 2021. It's kind of a somber night, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But we still have football 7 days a week. I watched some MAC action.
You watched MAC Attack last night?
MAC Attack.
There's some more tonight, too.
Eastern versus Western Michigan in the snow in Ypsilanti.
The directional battle of Michigan?
Yep. Ypsilanti, and then Western Michigan is in Kalamazoo.
I want to have my good friends. I know Joe is probably tuning in. So, hey, Joe Settle. I got his picks already, so we're going to go over those once we get it. Notice I did a lot of picks this week, some different schools. We went all 8 classes this week. We picked in a couple. And one in 4A, I kind of messed up on a sheet, but I figured it out before we came on the broadcast. So we're gonna get about 24 high school games and 30 college games this week. So, and my good friend, I believe Tennessee Shanky is checking in tonight as well.
Hey, Shank. How are you, man?
But it's been a kind of rough season for Tennessee. They're still 5-5. I think that's about where – I think coming into the season, he thought they'd be about 6-6 on the season. So they're right on cue for where they're heading. But this Irish Bill's Twist on Sports, we're here at Culver's in Navarre. You probably already knew that.
Yeah.
You think so?
I hope so.
We're about a block and a half from the bridge leading out to beautiful Navarre Beach on a beautiful fall evening and afternoon. Gosh, it was just gorgeous today.
It sure was. It really was. I was trying to get the temperature here. It's nice and cool.
It was a little bit cool where I came from on Monday. I went out for a morning walk. I stepped outside, and it was 27 degrees.
Yeah.
My brother and I went for about a 3.5 mile walk on Monday morning, and then packed up, and he took me down to the airport and stopped and said goodbye to Dad. And a great week with my dad.
Awesome.
From where it was after we left the show Wednesday night 2 weeks ago, wasn't certain that I would still have my dad, but fortunately, the man upstairs still not ready to take him. So I got to spend every day with him while I was there, and
awesome.
At least 2 hours a day, and we watch. Some days we watch football, some days we watch basketball and college basketball back and play. So that's what him and I used to do all the time. So I made it worth my time,
well,
and worth
like
his time as well.
That's the best way. Continue to make memories.
Unfortunately, I did lose my stepmom. So the morning of, I got a call in the Atlanta airport. She passed during the night. So my heartfelt sympathies go out to my stepbrothers and sister, Kathy, Jack, and Vicky, and the loss that we put her to rest last Wednesday. So my dad was able to get out. He was in good enough shape, so we got him over to the funeral home and out to the cemetery and said his goodbyes. But it's time to get back to sports. I mean, we didn't have a chance to talk about the Navarre Gulf Breeze. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight.
Okay.
We're going to go. We're still waiting for the defensive stats for that game. You know how it gets to the end of the season. Sometimes coaches take a little break once they get to the end of the season. So we're still waiting for the defensive stats.
Or they go to other sports.
They go to other sports. That's correct. And we're also – tonight is something I haven't done on previous shows is I'm going to do we've done Players of the Year, but we haven't done offensive, defensive, and special teams Players of the Year, large and small. So this is going to be a first for that.
Okay.
And I'm going to announce those tonight. Don't have any information on the stats from last week's games, so we decided to go with the Players of the Year for large and small, and all the schools, 6 different schools represented in my selections, and hopefully you'll agree with the individuals that. Well, if you don't, they're still my picks.
That's right.
Correct? But I think you'll be happy with the individuals that I selected. Then we're going to move on to our picks. We got, like I said, we got 54 picks tonight that we're going to do, and then 24 high school, 30 in college. Then we're going to move over to our Gulf South Conference. What a big win last weekend for Gulf South Conference champions, West Florida.
Big win at home.
61 points against the number 1 team in their region. That's one question. Before we go on, I want to ask that. How can you seed Valdosta number 1 in the region when they just got their backsides handled by West Florida
Now,
last
was
week?
West Florida, are they co-champs?
I think they're co-champs.
Yes.
Because West Florida lost to West Georgia, who also made the playoffs in D2 in Region 2. And then West Florida took out Valdosta 61-42. It was a close game at the half, 24-21 West Florida, but they just, once the second half started, and running back Anthony Johnson from Pace High School had 3 touchdowns rushing last week, a great game for Anthony, and they just ran the ball all over Valdosta in the second half. So West Florida is the 3 seed, Valdosta the 1 seed, Bowie State out of Maryland is the 2 seed, and a SIAC team, Albany State, takes out Miles College last week 31-0 to finish their regular season with the SIAC championship to end Miles College's 2-year run, and they are the 4 seed, even ahead of West Georgia in South Region. So a big boost there for the HBCU team from Albany State.
Did Miles make the playoffs?
Miles finished 6-5, so that was not in the agenda this year. So,
Okay.
So only one team out of the SIAC made it, and that would be Albany State with their 10-1 record.
Okay.
And the other team in there is West Florida will be – actually, we'll get to that later in the show.
Okay.
That's later in the show. And then we're going to talk about we'll have a little bit more time to talk about our Raiders, Where Are They Now segment. And some of them are still going to be playing in the playoffs. Like you got 7 of them from Huntington that's making the playoffs, but they're going to face off with a Birmingham Southern team that they handed one of their 2 losses on the season. They'll be heading up to Birmingham this weekend. But this Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. You don't know me by now. I'm Irish Bill. The good-looking older guy to my right is Seminole Bob.
Older guy.
Fresh off a Florida State come-from-behind win over that team from down south.
Yep. The Hurricanes fired their athletic director.
Do you think that's a sign of things to come, Bob?
Yes.
Because he is the one that hired Manny Diaz. So I think it's only time. And they're not finishing the season off very well. I mean, what a disappointing loss for them last week is they kind of handled that game not very well at the end of that game. And you were there.
Yeah, I had to. I was fortunate enough to be able to go my in-person Florida State game, first time in like 9 years with 2 of my close friends, and we had a great time and were able to tailgate a little bit, and
Nice.
Florida State started off strong on defense, and we let them hang around. And the Canes came back, did take the lead, and we had missed a long field goal in the second quarter, like a 54-yarder, and I'm going, Miami and field goals in Florida State just don't
It never
mix.
fails, does it?
I was there for wide right, the original wide right.
That was like back in, 94, 93, 94?
Jerry Thomas from Niceville.
Yeah.
And
I think I was at that. That was Miami won that game, did they not?
They did.
I was actually at that game as well. One of my buddies was a big Florida State fan, and another military friend of mine, and we went over and caught that game. But that was my first game at Doak Campbell.
Yep. And, well, there were a lot of Miami fans there. Holy cow. They were. And, they're not necessarily from Miami, just like Florida State. You have Florida State fans down in South Florida, too, Fort Lauderdale. But it was a great game. It's always great when you win. That quarterback, Van Dyke, a freshman.
He looks good. I'm very impressed with him over the last couple of games.
Just a total different offense because you went from King, the transfer from Houston, who's a run-and-shoot guy, and kind of like a older version of our quarterback, Travis.
Yep.
And to basically a pro-style quarterback in Van Dyke, and boy, he can sling it. Holy cow, he shredded us in the second half.
And he made a lot of good decisions too. I saw him play in the game before. I can't remember who it was that they played against, but very solid, bright future there for that young man going forward.
Yeah, at the same time, we were the start of the University of Florida Samford game.
Wow,
was ahead of us.
Basketball score.
Yeah, a football game and a basketball game broke out, and it was crazy. And Samford scores 41 and loses.
And a young man from Crestview had a nice game up there, Jay Stanton, running back for Samford.
Yep.
I think he had a couple of scores in that game as well. Made the GOAT happy. Wasn't making the GOAT very happy in the first half when they were trailing at the half against a Division One AA school, but they got it together in the second half and prevailed 70-52 as they hit 8 3-pointers in the second half.
Yeah, it had to be bittersweet for the GOAT because you had a Crestview boy on the Samford team who he knows very well, and then you have your own Florida Gators. My brother-in-law, Brad, and his family were at that game, so I haven't had a chance to talk to Brad.
122 points in that game.
I had the under at 98.
At 98? Well, you fell far short by 24 points.
Florida scoring 70, and but anyway, it was a great weekend for college football. A lot of stuff happening. Auburn disappoints. Texas disappoints. They paid Sarkisian a whole heck of a lot of money. But we'll talk about that later when we get to our picks this week. Some of the SEC teams have some FBS schools this week. I don't want to call them cupcakes, but I'll call them cupcakes. And so I think Texas A&M plays Texas Arlington or something, and
Hopefully,
so,
did you bring a pen tonight?
I did.
Ha! I can always count on my partner for a pen because we're going to need that a little bit later when we do our kicks. But let's get back to the Navarre game. Yes, we did. They did finish the season about a week and a half ago, but we want to talk about that a little bit. Navarre, they had their chances in this game, but have you ever seen any level of football where a team returns three fumbles for touchdowns?
Never. I saw a young 7-year-old named E.G. Green play flag football at the Y.
Wow.
He intercepted a lateral and ran it back for a touchdown.
That does not surprise me about E.G.
Yeah, and but no, I just when I tell friends at school and all, they just it was unbelievable, the scoop and scores, and so.
But the first one, it was they had a mishap in the backfield on the handoff. One bounce right into the linebacker's hands for Gulf Breeze, and he took it 75 yards for a touchdown. This was after Navarre scored on their opening drive. The only score of the first quarter, a 1-yard run by Chris DeCourt. Howard's kick was good. We go to the second half, but Gulf Breeze would cut it to one and then tie it on eventual Dylan Seeker kick on a 23-yard pass play from Battle Albertson to Carson Hepworth. And then the Three Stooges, the old routines happened for the Navarre team. And
Curly Moe and Leary.
75-yard fumble return by Andrew Thorne. Seeker with the kick. 56-yard fumble return by Shaman Walker. Seeker with the kick. And suddenly, only having one first down in the first half, Gulf Breeze had a 21-7 lead.
Yeah, Navarre drove the ball on Gulf Breeze defense. They did all night. It's just Gulf Breeze was very opportunistic, and that's what
Five
good
turnovers.
teams do.
Five turnovers on the night. 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and it was a long night. In fact, we're going to get right into the scoring in the third. A 45-yard pass on a beautiful throw from Feaster to Marshall. The future happening right there. Southmore quarterback to Southmore wide receiver. And,
Put it where only he could catch it.
And we go to the fourth quarter. It's 21-13. Navarre within 1 score. And but Gulf Breeze would get right back on the board. A 1-play drive, 77-yard pass from Albertson to Rouillier. I'm thinking that's how you say Rouillier.
Yeah.
Rouillier.
Yep.
Okay. And Seeker with the extra point. It's real quick. It was 28-13. But hold the phones. Kickoff happens. Terrence Marshall, 94 yards for a touchdown. And we're back to 1 score again. It's 28-19. Actually, 2 scores as they failed on the 2-point conversion. So 28-19. Seeker would come back and add a 25-yard field goal to stretch the lead to 31-19. But the Raiders came right back at 3:36. This one a 22-yard pass from Feaster to Percival. Howard's kick was good, so it was 31-26. The Raiders' defense would hold, and they would take over around midfield, and they would move down inside the 30. Gulf Breeze's 30. But three-headed monster, fumble monster, happened again, and this time freshman defensive lineman Philip Dillard takes a 60-yard fumble return the other way, and that closes out the scoring and a 38-26 win for the Gulf Breeze Dolphins.
Yep. It's just one of those things that happens, and you learn from it, you grow from it. And it's a tough way for the seniors to go out. I thought Navarre still had a chance to get in, mainly because of the rules in the playoff because Gulf Breeze had played.
Hold on. We got Terrence and Tyrell's father Eddie checking in from South Carolina, and he says, I want to say thank you for broadcasting the VAR football games. Living in South Carolina, it's hard to get down there to see the Marshall boys and the Raiders play. I hope to come down next season at least, sit with y'all and do an interview. I would love to have him.
Oh, we'd love to have you.
And you got to look up, though, Eddie, when you come to Bennett C. Russell Stadium, because usually we are up on the roof. So you got to find your way up on top, and we'd be more than happy to have you join us
to have you.
at a pregame or a halftime during a game, and because we look for big things out of both Terrence and Tyrell in the next 2 years at Navarre High, and we thank you guys. Because this is what we do it for those that can't make it.
Absolutely.
And thank you for being a patron of Irish Bill Sports and our Irish Bill Lives on YouTube as well. So most definitely come up and meet with us, and we'll more than happily get you on.
Anytime.
We'll pretty much let about anybody. I mean, we let Robbie coming on this year, and the open invitation to Joe when he wasn't working Niceville games was there, but he never joined us. So, in fact, I wish he was here tonight because I would have bought him dinner. Still, no one has taken me up on my Wednesday night dinner opportunity. Where could you be at a better place on a Wednesday night than to have dinner with Irish Bill and Seminole Bob?
Maybe at church, but
possibly
we would give you. We would let you slide on that, but still,
we'll say a prayer before our meals, so you won't feel totally out of place. But thanks, Eddie, for checking in tonight.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you next season. But a great night for Hunter Feaster in his first start of the season. 25 completions, his second all-time. in Raider completions in a game. Dusty Jones holds the record back in 2011 with 26. So he was one off there, and his 35 attempts is fourth all time between Matthew Webb. He holds the top two spots with 46 and 37. And Dusty in that same game had 37 attempts as well. So Hunter with 292 yards on 25 completions. And a nice night to end his career at Navarre. Derek Percival with 10 receptions, 104 yards. That is number 2. If I'm looking at my list here, is I got all the records right here.
I see that.
And Derek, that is number 3 behind Chris Weaver's 13 in 2007 and Quentin Randolph's 11 in 2014. So what a season for Derek. He actually had an 8-reception game as well. So on the season 45, which let me count here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13th all time. 45 completion receptions in his career. So,
well, I expect the Marshals to be on the leaderboard in receiving yards. Yak, I don't know if you keep Yak yards after catch. Terrence he finds a way to get open, and I mean the kid's 15, 16 years old, and so he.
Eddie goes, I'll be there, and my mom, Roz, says thank you, too. You guys rock. Thanks, Eddie. And Joe wouldn't be here because Joe's working nights, so he's got a reason not to be here. So I'll give you that much, Joe. But great, I say. We don't have any defensive stats, but on the season, I mean, what a great year. Your offensive leaders, I mean, Kyle Chambers unfortunately got hurt, was not able to play the last game and a half. But he led the Raiders at 984 yards passing. Hunter with just a shade under 500. Chris DeCourte led the rushing attack, 630 yards, 3 touchdowns, 127 carries. Terrence Marshall led yardage-wise, 540 yards on 23 receptions, 6 touchdowns. And Derek Percival with 45 catches and over 500 yards as well. Terrence Marshall with 2 kickoff returns, 97 and 94 yards for touchdowns.
And you know, what's so ironic about that thing is many times toward the end of the season, you know, our opponents knew that Terrence was our go-to in double coverage, and he still finds, especially in that Niceville game and that one catch he had, it just found a way to get open. And so at such a young age. So the future's bright for both the Marshall boys.
And that Gulf Breeze team as well. Very young team. Sophomore quarterback leading them as well. So Navarre and Gulf Breeze are going to have to be reckoned with over these next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But we're going to go ahead and take our first break of the night. This Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're here at Culver's in Navarre. It's our final episode of 2021. And if you're out in the area next on this coming Friday night, make sure you get out and catch a game before there are no more games to catch.
Niceville still in it. South Walton hosts. Lots of opportunities.
We'll go over those schedules here in a little bit, but we'll come back and we're going to announce our players of the year. And the large schools, that is Class 5A to 8A. We only go up through 7 here in the Panhandle, and 4A down to 1A are small schools. We're going to have offensive player, defensive player, and our special teams players, which is going to be a kicker from each, the small and the large. So this Irish Bill is Seminole Bob, and we'll be back after this word from our sponsors.
Craig Culver of Culver's.
Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culver's, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Thinking about selling your property? Call Ursula Householder of Coldwell Banker Realty in Navarre now. The consultation is free, and Ursula uses the best tools the industry has to offer. Her years as a top producer, relocation specialist, and Florida military market specialist will help you get the desired result. If you are buying, Ursula's experience will help you make an informed decision to find the right home for you And if you mention this advertisement, Ursula will donate $100 to the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club when the deal closes. To find out if you qualify for any of the military rewards, call or text 850-642-5711 or email ursula.householder@cbrealty.com or go to urhouseholderhomes.com. That's urhouseholderhomes.com. Go Raiders!
University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322.
If you want to move better, feel better, and live better pain-free, Dr. Paul Britt at Integrative Chiropractic Solutions is the only certified sports chiropractor for Gulf Breeze and Navarre. He can address your sports injuries quickly and effectively, and after only 4 visits on average with a 96% resolution rate. So give Integrative Chiropractic Solutions a call today at 850-916-9304 or book online at drpaulbritt.com. That's 850-916-9304 or online at drpaulbritt.com. They want to fix you swiftly to get you back in the game.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help because we understand what it takes to hire the right person. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills with the right jobs from the production floor to the front office. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raiders Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track, whether it's seeing to it that they're properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can watch and hear all exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on IrishBillSports.com.
Welcome back to Irish Bills Sports, Twist on Sports. We're here at Culver's in Navarre, final episode of the 2021 season. And it's time to get, are you excited about we're about ready to announce 6 young men that have had outstanding seasons. 5 of them are still playing. And the only one that isn't, we'll get to in just a second. First, we're going to go with the large schools. Like I said, it's Class 5A to Class 7A. And what a season he has. Not only does he play quarterback, he also kicks off. He kicks field goals and extra points and punts for Pine Forest High School. That would be junior quarterback Tierra Wilson. What a great season this young man's had, leading through Pine Forest to a 9-1 record in the top seed in Region 1 going into the playoffs. And they will be at home as they will host Jacksonville Riverside this Friday night. So congratulations goes out to junior quarterback from Pine Forest. He is our offensive player of the year for large schools. We're going to go down the road a little bit. Everybody probably, this is probably kind of a given for some people, all the accolades that he's had over the last 3 years. And we're going to head on over to Niceville. Senior defensive back and wide receiver and return man and much of everything, sort of like our Dante, right? But a little bit bigger. We're going to go senior Azariah Thomas from Niceville is our defensive player of the year. Joe, I think you would agree with that. And he goes, when Bob puts on those glasses, he looks like Carrie Carey. Holy cow!
Holy cow! I'll have another Budweiser.
Yeah, so So congratulations goes out to our defensive player of the year from Niceville High School, Azariah Thomas. We're going to head over to Pace for our special teams player of the year, junior kicker Reese Griffith. What a season he had, kicking the field goals and extra points and kickoffs, all the touchbacks that he had. He had a long of 48 yards this year. He works with one-on-one kicking out of Pensacola out at Catholic High School, and he is our special teams player of the year, junior kicker Reese Griffith from Pace High School.
Awesome.
Can you argue with any of those, Bobs?
No, not at all.
We had a lot of talented players here in the Panhandle. It's been tough to narrow it down, but those are the three I came up with the large schools. So congratulations goes out to Pine Force's Tierra Wilson, Niceville's Azariah Thomas, and Pace's Reese Griffith, our large school players of the year. Now we go on down to small school, and not much argument here out of this young man. Over the last couple of years, he has led the area, not only led the area, but he led the state in passing last year as a junior. We're going to head over to South Walton High School and quarterback Kemper Hodges. It's great to have a lot of nice, talented receivers to go to with Pierce Sperling and Cade Roberts over the last couple of years, but well-deserved honors goes to quarterback Kemper Hodges, our offensive player of the year in small schools.
Yeah, no argument here. And I talked to Phil Tiza last week, and he said he's still not had any Division I. Kemper's not had any Division I offers.
He's kind of a dual threat quarterback. He's a stocky young man. He's 6'1", about 220 pounds. He can tuck the ball and run too. So I think he's going to be playing somewhere. I don't know if it's D1 or D1 AA or D2, but you're going to see that young man playing Saturday somewhere.
I believe so.
And next, we're going to head over to Port St. Joe. A great year so far for the Tiger Sharks. They're 9-1 on the season. They'll be hosting a tough opponent this week, as they will be hosting Madison County. And we'll be coming in. Excuse me. They'll be coming in this week, and that'll be a tough opponent for the Cowboys coming in to face off of Port St. Joe. He's been our offensive player of the year once. He's been our defensive player of the year once. And that goes to junior linebacker DJ Oliver from Port St. Joe. He is our small school defensive player of the year. And our special teams, we're not going to head too far up. We're going to go up 87, take a right turn on I-10, and take the next left into Holt, down Gulliver Cutoff, and into Baker. Our special teams player of the year, sophomore kicker Judith Morse, who did not miss a kick all season this year for the Baker Gators. They're 6-2 on the season. So congratulations goes out to Kemper Hodges from South Walton, DJ Oliver from Port St. Joe, and our special teams player of the year from Baker High School, Baker School, sophomore kicker Judah Morse.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make a point with the running back from Baker, Caleb.
He would have been high on my list. Unfortunately, Caleb got hurt during the season, missed 3 games. So you can't take away from his record-breaking performance in Game 1 as he broke Derrick Henry's all-time record of over 500 yards, 535 yards to be exact for Caleb Wagner. He had a great start to his season, had over 1,300 yards after the first 3 games, but got a little banged up. And I think he was banged up enough to where they could play him, but they didn't need to play him. And he's all rested up and ready to go for this week's opponent, as they'll be hosting Northview. Northview playing really solid in the second half of the season.
They are.
Should be a great game this Friday night up there in Baker. But so congratulations goes out to those young men, and we'll have our coaches of the year a little bit later as the season winds down, because a lot of teams still out there playing, and but it's still to be decided.
I know who's high on my list. Coach Bo.
Coach Bo, I mean, what a great job he's done over there. Small schools, I mean, they're 9-1 on the season. Their only loss was a very tight game earlier in the season, and but Coach Bo is right up there in the running as well for small schools, and right now would be my leading candidate going in. For large schools, I mean, it's hard to take away what Grant Thompson has done as Niceville once again. I mean, they're 10-1, but they're 11-0. They had to forfeit a game playing an ineligible player, so nobody has beat them on the field this year, and the only 2 teams beat them last year as well.
Jay Walls, no returning starters on offense. No returning starters. He's got to be in the mix.
And another
for the
one,
job
you got to go out to Pine Forest as well with Ronnie Gillen. And West Florida with Summerford over there. I mean, gosh, the coaches in this area are outstanding.
Is it Bobby Clayton?
Bobby Clayton at Gulf Breeze, one of their better records in the regular season. I mean, they beat Navarre for only the second time in the last 14 games. Both of them at Navarre. That's a little surprising. Navarre still leads the Publix Beach Bowl Cup 12-2 in that series, but can't take away from the season that Gulf Breeze had.
Small school, Coach Martello at Baker.
There you go,
Brunson, sorry.
Martello's
Coach
the
Brunson.
athletic director
Right.
at Niceville.
Right.
Charlie.
How about Phil Teza?
Wow. We're going to sit down. We're going to get Joe in here as well. We're going to sit down one of these days, and before we make our decisions on our coaches, we're going to sit down and discuss. We'll throw out some arguments, but it's tough when you got so many good coaches in one area.
It is, and just Coach Teza is just solid, man. Solid.
Most definitely. What a program they got up and going, and he's got an old-timer over there helping him coach too. One name that all of us remember from years past, Jimmy Ray Stevens, old Florida, coached under Spurrier at Florida. He is up at Tennessee.
Right.
And
playing the pro ranks. Coached Walton, I believe, for a little while.
A little while before he moved down to South Walton, and that's a rivalry right there. Walton County with South Walton and Walton High School, and South Walton gave Walton their only loss during the regular season. But speaking of games, we got a bunch to talk about coming up.
Let's do it.
We're going to go right now, and I got to pull up Joe's picks here as well. Joe sent in his picks, as he always does, and he is watching he's checking in from work, so I'm not going to say that too loud, Joe, because I don't know who might be listening or who might be watching. But we're going to go with our high school picks first, and we're going to start with a couple of 8A games here. We got number 5, Lake Mary, heading to face off with number 1, Seminole. Joe is going with Seminole, and I'm going to go with Seminole as well. I'm going to take the top seed. Only one top seed lost in the whole state last week.
Yeah. Saw that. Seminole's on paper favored by 13. I'm going to go with Seminole.
So we got three going to go with Seminole in that one. Then we're going to go. This is going to be a game. Apopka, the Blue Darters. I love that name.
Yeah.
Warren Sapp played at Apopka. Bartram Trail has a quarterback currently at Georgia. One Carson Beck.
That's right.
I believe he played at Bartram Trail. No, it was trying to think. It was either him or the quarterback that's currently with the Patriots, Mac Jones.
Could have been.
The one was played at Mandarin, one played at Bartram Trail, but two great programs. And Apopka is going to travel to Jacksonville and take on Bartram Trail. I'm going to go with the Blue Darters in the upset.
They're favored by 20. I'm going to go with Apopka.
Going to go. I have not seen the numbers. Let's see who Joe has. Joe is going with the Apopka, so it's a clean sweep for Apopka as well. Let's move down to 7A. We're going to go with another region in 8A as well. Vero Beach, the number 5 seed, heading to number 1 Palm Beach Central, and number 3 Boone heading to Treasure Coast to take on number 2 Treasure Coast. Now I'm going to go with the home teams because I don't know a whole lot about the other teams, so I'm going to go with Palm Beach Central and Treasure Coast.
I'm going to go with the Vero and Treasure Coast.
Okay. Let's see who Joe has here. Joe's going to go with the home teams as well. So a clean sweep for Treasure Coast, and Joe and I taking Palm Beach Central. Vero Beach goes the way of Bob. What do you feel something for Vero Beach, or you just want it to be different?
No, I've got my little handicapper here, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's who I'm going to pick.
Yeah, but before we go any further, we got to tell you how we did last week. We all tied last week. We all went 19-3.
Wow,
that's pretty impressive.
I think we missed.
I don't have my sheet here with me, but
we missed the Nice game.
We missed. That was the only game that all three of us missed together was the Nice game.
Yeah.
And then I think we had one other. No, because I was thinking the Sneads and Liberty County game was a tight one.
Yep.
I took Liberty County, and you guys took Liberty County. I took Sneads, so you guys won that one. So, well, let's move on. Well, we finished 19-3. We tied on the season. Joe, percentage-wise, is the leader. Even though he came on a little bit late, he's still at 78%. So you got to give him his due.
Pretty solid.
I was 1% back at 77. You're at 75. So it was a solid year where we picked at least 3 out of 4 games every week. Pretty solid.
Yep.
Let's move on down to 7A. We're Niceville. We've got Niceville hosting Nice, the number 7 seed. Buchholz hosting the University, the number 5 seed. I'm going to go with Buchholz in the first game, and so is Joe. Bob going with Buchholz as well. At number 7, Nice. At number 3, Niceville. Joe sent us some scouting information here. He said the Joey Gatewood played at Bartram Trail as well. Thanks for that tidbit of information. And Joe goes, Nice could be a tough opponent for Niceville. They're a passing team, and in his opinion, that is one of the weaknesses on their defense. So Joe is going to go with Niceville. It's hard to go against a team that hasn't lost a game in the regular season.
Right.
This year, 11 games. They only lost 1 game last year, and that was in the playoffs to Edgewater. And so I'm going to go with Niceville at home, even though I think Nice is going to give them a ball game.
I think Niceville wins by a field goal, and the home field advantage, I think, is
that is a great home field advantage.
It's a great environment, man. And Joe, I envy you, man.
You'll be on the sideline watching that game.
He was at the Miami Central game also. What was the name of the
Miami Edison.
Edison.
Still in the playoffs. They're down in the classification 3A. But that should be a great matchup with Nice. I've seen Nice play once. When I first started broadcasting for Panhandle Sports Broadcasting years ago, we went over to Nice High School, which is a hall from Pace. Pace played Nice in the regional finals, and the game went to 4 overtimes. And Pace's kicker missed an extra point in the 4th overtime, and they lost 49-48. And what a game that was! I did the stats for that game. I actually wasn't on the air, but I was doing the stats, and I drove the RV over and back as well.
Oh. Nice has a former alumni quarterback. Yeah. Niceville has played before. I do believe.
I think
they played
Tim
Nice
Tebow
before.
Tim Tebow played a little bit there.
Yep, sure was.
And they had a couple of they had a set of twins over there. You remember Bill Bates that used to play for the Cowboys? Mm-hmm. His twins actually played for Nice that year that I was over there. And what a game that was. Riley Hawkins, the receiver for Pace, he had over 200 yards receiving in that game. Unfortunately, one catch that he made, as he was going to score, they stripped him from behind at the 5-yard line. And they went on and came back and won that game. Nice won in 4 overtimes, 49-48. It was in 2008, I believe. But so we got all taking Niceville now in Buchholz, so it's a clean sweep there in Region 1. Region 2, we got Lake Gibson, who Navarre is familiar with, who took Navarre out into semi-state back in 2016.
Yep.
But they're heading to Orlando to take on the number 1 seed and top team, one of the top teams in 7A, Edgewater. And with a lot of talent on that Edgewater team.
Edgewater
Lake
for
Gibson
me.
takes out Lakeland. Now, what a matchup in week 1 of the playoffs. Lake Gibson and Lakeland in the first round. Lakeland, the all-time
the
winningest team.
Dreadnoughts.
The Dreadnoughts. And they take out Lakeland in week 1, but they got to go to Edgewater, and I'm going with Edgewater in this one. I think Joe's going with Edgewater as well. And I believe they're favored by at least, I think, about 10 in this one.
17.
Edgewater.
Oh, no, Edgewater. 10, yes.
They're 10-point favorites. You're going to Joe Pincos there?
I'm going with Edgewater.
You're going with Edgewater as well, so a clean sweep there. Number 3, Melbourne heads to number 2, Martin County. I think Martin County is a slight favorite in that one. I'm going with Martin County in that one.
Home team.
And Joe going with the home team as well. Next, we head down to 6A, Region 1. We got number 5, Jacksonville Riverside, heading over to Pensacola, long haul there. About a 6-hour drive. And they're taking on Pine Forest. I like Pine Forest to go deep in this
I think
in this
so,
region. And Joe going with Pine Forest as well. This a game. We had this matchup earlier in the year where Mosley beat Lincoln 42-14 early on in the season. Lincoln has turned on the juice, as they always do towards the end of the season, it seems like every year. And they're traveling over to take on Mosley. Mosley with a big win over Gulf Breeze last week. They're 10-1 on the season. Their only loss was to Gadsden County. And Niceville folks know a little bit about Gadsden County as they gave the Eagles all they wanted in that one. So I want to pick Mosley in this one. I really do. I'm kind of leaning towards Lincoln right now. But in the end, it's a home game for Mosley. And I look for Mosley to win in a very tight game, maybe a 1-point ball game in this one. I'm going with Mosley.
Lincoln's favored by 3, according to Joe Pinko. I'm going with the Dolphins.
So we're all going with the
home
Pine
team.
Forest Eagles and the Mosley Dolphins in
that'll be-
Region 1.
If that holds out, what a showdown that'll be.
And then we got in Class 6A Region 2, Lake Wales heading down to face off with Ocala Vanguard, the number 1 team in that one. And I'm going with Vanguard, the Knights in that one. I knew that one.
The Knights.
The Knights. I did a basketball tournament down there in 2008 or 9 that fall, and actually met the owner of that. What's the barbecue place? The big barbecue place that's in Ocala, Gainesville, and Tallahassee. I'm trying to remember that place, but we met the owner of that establishment there. I can't remember why. I can't think of it. I've ate there numerous times in Tallahassee. Barbecue place right off on exit, I believe, the last exit in.
Not Jim and Nick's, is it?
No, I can't remember it off. Joey actually, his team, he went to Lake Wales High School. I did not know that. He said that was hard for him to pick against. That he went against Vanguard in this one. You going with Vanguard in this one?
Yes.
So we all clean sweep there. Next, we got number 3, Jones, heading to number 2, Auburndale. I think Auburndale is a slight favorite in this one. I might be wrong. Nope, actually Jones is favored by 17, so that just swayed me in that one.
Jones.
I'm going with Jones. And let's see who
Orlando Jones.
Basketball Jones. Maybe that's, what was it there, that show? That song. Joe is going to go with Auburndale in the upset. There's one different for us.
Very storied program at Jones High School.
We're going to head down to 5A, where number 5 seed of West Florida heads over to Glen St. Marie to take on Baker County, the number 1 seed. I like West Florida, but I don't think they're going to have enough in this one.
Baker County. I'm going to go with West Florida.
Joe going with Baker County, so Bob going with West Florida. Then we have number 3, Wakulla, who gave West Florida their only loss on the year, heading to number 2, Rains High School out of Jacksonville. This should be a great game. And Who we got? What's the odds there?
Rains favored by 10.
And that's a long haul from Crawfordville to Jacksonville. I'm going to go with Rains in this one. So when it rains, it pours.
That's a salty expression. I'm going with Jacksonville.
Okay, going with Rains as well. And Joe going with Rains, so it's a clean sweep there for Rains. Now we're going to head over to 4A. I had typed them wrong initially on my sheet, but it's Bradford heading to the top seed, South Walton. I'm going with the Seahawks in this one. Joe is as well.
They're favored by 20 over Baldwin. I'm going with the Seahawks.
And next you have the 2 seed Monroe hosting the Bowl School.
Gadsden County.
Nope, the Bowl School.
Yeah, I mean, Bowles plays Gadsden.
Bowles is actually playing Monroe. Is it, or do I have that wrong? Gadsden County, I'm sorry.
Bowles
Gadsden
is
County.
favored by
I think this
3.
I think this is going to be a better game than that. It's actually Gadsden County. I'm going with Bowles either way.
All right, Joe going to need to change his pick.
He went with Bowles.
I'm going to go with Bowles as well.
Okay.
Private school.
Gadsden County is down in. Where is Gadsden County?
You know what? I'm going
Did I-
to change my pick. Hold your horses.
You're going with Gadsden County.
I'm going with Gadsden County.
Okay, we're going to scratch that one off for Bob, and they had a thrilling 16-14 win last week. And Bowles coming in town, the home field advantage for Gadsden County. So, and the way they've been playing the last 3 or 4 weeks,
Who knows?
anything could happen.
Yep.
Next, we're going to move down to 3A. We have PK Young, the 4 seed, going to number 1 Trinity Catholic. I'm going with Trinity Catholic in that one.
Yep. Trinity Catholic favored by 10.
So a clean sweep there for Trinity Catholic. And we got Florida High heading to Walton.
That
Walton
should
9-1
be
on the
a
season.
Great contest.
Walton, more of a ground-oriented team, likes to run the ball. Florida high octane offense for the Seminoles out of South Tallahassee. And I'm going to go with Florida High on the road.
Going with the Knowles. Sorry to my Walton fans.
And that's a clean sweep for Florida High. Now we head down to Class 2A. St. John Paul II took out North Florida Christian last week in a much closer game, 41-35. But the new team, the new kid on the block in Class 2A is an old team in 3A. Has won like 3 straight titles in 3A, and that's Trinity Christian Academy. So I think the Marauders' end of a great season will stop right there.
I'm going with the Catholics.
Which one?
Well, Trinity Christian, I believe, is a Protestant school.
Okay, I'm not
So,
sure on that one. So
I'm
I'm
going
going to take your
I'm
word
going to go
for
with
it.
John Paul.
Going with John Paul. And Joe taking the Trinity Christian. Then we have University Christian that took out Rocky Bayou last week.
Mercy.
66-0.
Nothing.
They're heading to Monroe, take on Robert F. Monroe. Great season for Monroe,
Yeah.
but not enough in this one, in my opinion. University Christian.
Favored by 20. I'm going to go with University Christian. Probably the favorite to win it all.
And I was thinking about maybe going to a game this weekend, but we got double duty with the Southern Gentleman Sports Show this week. I'll be back on for the first time in 4 weeks. On Saturday, we're doing 8 to noon. Then we're doing a Sunday show, a pro show from Stripes here in Navarre.
Okay.
At 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. I know we're probably not making a lot of those churchgoers very happy by having a 9 o'clock show. But we'll be doing the show from Culver's here. Not Culver's, but from Stripes in Navarre on 100.3 the Ticket Sports Network and 97.1 out of Pensacola. And we are Sports Radio. So 9 o'clock on Sunday, you can tune in and listen to the Southern Gentleman Sports Show.
I am a bachelor this weekend. The girls are going to Girl Scout training. So if you need a pinch hitter.
I will actually have to go to the studio on Sunday to make sure things are that if we lose. Last time we were there, we had a lot of problems with the Wi-Fi, so we had to resort back to the studio. So Callie and I will be holding down the fort in the studio.
Okay.
So if you want to join us in the studio, you're more than welcome.
I might do that. I've never done that.
So
We could have breakfast.
sounds like a plan. Now we head down to 1A. We got Region
great
1 and
games.
Region 2, and all 4 of these games are outstanding matchups. Northview playing really well right now. Coming into this game, they're 6-4. They're taking on a 6-2 Baker team, a very rested Baker team.
Yeah, they had a bye.
Tough to play and tough to beat at home. Have to go with the Gators in this one.
You know, look, we're talking high school, and
You picked
high
the
school's-
Gators a lot this year.
High,
didn't you?
yeah, I have, and high school is so different. These are just very subjective guesses.
Yeah.
Although Pinko is pretty spot on.
I think he's like 80 plus percent, like 83%.
He
on the
has
season.
Baker favored by 27.
I don't see that.
I don't either.
But he's been wrong before.
17% of the time.
Yeah, not too often though.
I'm going to go with Baker.
Okay, so that's a clean sweep for Baker. Then we head over to Chipley. What a great season Chipley's had. I mean,
Yeah, the Tigers have been up and down in previous seasons, but
7-3, and they'll be facing off with Holmes County. Holmes County comes in with a win over Freeport last week, and Holmes County 6-5 on the season. They're going against 7-3 Chipley. I'm going with I believe they're the Tigers
yes,
at home.
I'm going with the Tigers.
The eye of the Tiger this week in Chipley. Now we're going to head down to our last 2 games in high school. Number 4, Liberty County nosed out Sneads last week, 27-26. And they will face on probably the best team in 1A, if not too far behind Madison County, Bluntstown, and Coach Bo Johnson.
I'm going to go with Coach Bo.
We're all going with Coach Bo as well.
Favored by 17.
Then Madison County, the 3 seed, in that because their schedule that they played, they lost a couple of games. They come into this game at 8-3. Port St. Joe 8-1 on the season, and should be a good matchup early on. But I think that the athleticism and the depth of Madison County will prevail in the end.
They're favored by 31. I don't know. Port St. Joe's been up and down. I'm going to go with the Cowboys with a C,
Okay.
not the Osceola Cowboys with a
the
K.
But I agree, Madison County in a queen sleep. So there's our high school picks, and we're going to continue to make picks, and we'll put them on my Facebook page, Irish Bill's Twist on Sports, and watch how we do throughout the remainder of the season. And now it's time to move over to the college game. Joe got us again last week. Gosh, maybe we shouldn't have brought him aboard.
Oh, I love Joe.
I do too, but
I love Joe.
He's been making us look pretty bad.
He's good. He's good people.
And we're going to go to our college picks. We got a Thursday night game tomorrow night. Not much of a game. Louisville will head over to Duke to face the Blue Devils. I'm going to go with Louisville on the road.
I'm going with Louisville.
Joe going with Louisville as well. Now we've got a few Friday night games. We've got 3 of them. 2 of them involve ranked opponents. Memphis is heading to number 24, Washington. Joe goes with Houston. I'm going with Houston as well.
Houston's on a roll, man.
And could they notice that how they eked them into the playoffs last night, and they got Cincinnati coming up, I believe, next week, and it should be a great matchup between Houston and Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's a trap game this week for Cincinnati too.
Arizona having a very subpar season. They're heading to Washington State, heading to the Palouse. I'm going with the Cougs in this one.
Cougs without a coach. a head coach.
Both Washington teams without coaches right now.
That's
as
right.
Jimmy Lake got fired as well.
Yeah.
So we're all going with the Cougs. Then we got number 19, San Diego State, heading to Sin City to take on the UNLV running Rebels. This is not Jerry Tarkanian's running Rebels.
No.
I'm going with San Diego State in this one.
Going with San Diego State on this one.
I think Joe did as well. He did. So now let's head over to Saturday as we got Thursday and Friday out of the way. We're going to start it off with Florida State at Boston College.
Going to
a big win for Florida State last week.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it Florida State may have turned the corner. Coach Norvell, man, he's got a top 15 recruiting class, and that win flipped a couple of prospects and convinced them to commit to Florida State. You know, we'll see what Florida State's made of.
Ooh, Joe made a change when I put the wrong game. He's going with Gadsden County as well.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how Florida State responds out of an emotional win. That stadium did not empty for a long time, and the Seminoles stayed on the field. At the end of the third quarter, we had our usual, seems like every Miami-Florida State game, they get fired up. Miami was dancing on our logo.
I saw that. That's
feeling their oats a little bit. And I just referred to the Bible scripture, pride cometh before the fall. And
he pulled a Terrell Owens. Remember when Terrell went to the Star and stomped on the Star in Dallas?
And Emmett went after him.
Yeah. Another stat from Joe before we move on. I'm not going to interrupt you on your story, but we'll get back to that. Lake Wales running back Marquise Sabon is number 3 in the state with 1,896 yards rushing. Joe bringing the stats tonight. I like it.
Joe, man.
And he's taking Gadsden County over Bowles. But back to Florida State. What an ending. Did that ending surprise you a little bit to the way that Miami coached down towards the end?
I mean, a little bit. A little bit. I was not 100% sure of the rule where they threw a long pass down the field and were inside the 30 or 40, setting up a potential pass into the end zone. And in college, if you spike the ball with less than 3 seconds, that's the game.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew it, and it did not surprise me when it was called, but just a bizarre ending where the officials go.
I wish that rule would have been around in 2018 when Brady played up at Soldier Field, and that team's Clark Atlanta, it's Morehouse College beat Miles College on the last play of the game, a Hail Mary with less than 3 seconds to go. He spiked the ball, so they had 1 second left. So if that rule applied in 2018, they would have not lost that game. The game would have been over.
And it may be a new rule. I'm not.
It is. So I think it came involved last season in 2020.
Gosh, many games were affected by that since then. The rule both ways. I'm going to go with the Seminoles. They're my team.
Joe going with the Seminoles as well. Unfortunately, I would have went with the Seminoles, but with the quarterback for Boston College back and healthy, I'm going to go with the Boston College at home.
Our secondary is suspect. We had a true freshman who performed well, picked off a pass early in the first half, and Mike Norvell is not afraid to play freshmen, and that's a potential kind of psychological thing to recruits and say, hey, this is an interstate rival game. Because of injuries and COVID and all, we started a true freshman, and he made I think he intercepted a pass and had another huge tackle on a third and long, preventing their big tight end who killed us on the underneath patterns from getting a first down. So I think that's a great recruiting tool when you have freshmen that start. And, Nick Saban does a lot of that too. So shows confidence in the team, shows that the freshmen are showing up in practice, that coach and the defensive staff show that. I just was not sold on Travis as a quarterback, but he made some big plays Saturday, and he I think he was the difference on offense. And how about that Georgia transfer, number 11 for Florida State, the defensive end?
Big man. He's a big man.
Jermaine. He's number 11.
I can't remember his last name. But
I want to say Jermaine Thomas. That might not be right. But
he
anyway,
he had a great game.
At one time, I think he was leading the country in sacks. I don't think he is anymore. But a Georgia transfer. And
BC's quarterback is a Notre Dame transfer,
yeah.
Phil Jakovic.
Yeah.
He was hurt most of the season.
That's right. So go from one Catholic school to another. I'm going to go with the Knowles.
Joe.
Chestnut Hill's a tough place to play.
Joe and Bob taking the Knowles. I'm going with Boston College. Now we head over to Death Valley. This is in South Carolina. Clemson hosting number 10 Wake Forest. This is the season for Wake Forest in this game. I am going to go with Clemson in the upset. So is Joe.
I'm going with Wake Fungus Among Us.
I call Wake Me Up Forest.
Wake Me Up Forest. Hopefully they're awake. Clemson has a chance to go above 500, to up their ante and get to a decent bowl game. I'm going to go with Wake Forest.
Well, we don't even need to talk much about the next one. Charleston Southern, Division I AA school, heading to Georgia, to Athens, all going with Georgia in that one.
The Lamb led to the slaughter.
Indeed. Now, this should be one of the better games of the weekend. Number 7, Michigan State. And I believe that their coach just got a huge extension this evening. Mel Tucker, I believe, got a 10-year, $95 million extension to stay. Is that a curse for him to stay? Or is that – what if LSU throws the same amount of money at him? What would you do?
What would I do? I think
Sparty or LSU?
I'm going to go with Sparty as far as where Mel is in his career. I'm not sure he wants to get into that Western Division of the ACC.
Yeah.
And again, you'd be adopting some of Coach Orgeron's recruits. I don't see it. I think LSU's going to make a run. If Florida doesn't, I think they're going to make a run out of the coach from Liberty.
So I'll go with Ohio State over Michigan State.
I am too. Yep.
So the clean sweep there. Rutgers traveling to Penn State. What is up with this Penn State team?
Up and down. I don't think it's a good sign when Coach Franklin gets a new agent. You heard about that.
Rutgers goes into Indiana last week, beats them 38-3. I know Indiana's no Penn State, but they're playing much better. Greg Schiano back in their second stint there at Rutgers. Had guys like Ray Rice when he was there previously, running back. I'm still going with Penn State at home in this one.
Yep.
That's a clean sweep for that
Coach
one.
Franklin hired Jimmy Sexton as his agent. And boy, does Jimmy Sexton play teams versus another team. Franklin says he's not interested in the left coast job at USC. Has he worn out his welcome?
Possibly.
Bad pandemic year, maybe two victories in the pandemic year, and then kind of a disappointing season this year. I think the Nittany Lions will have enough to beat Rutgers.
I do as well. Tennessee State, another Division I AA team, going to Mississippi State, who's playing really well right now.
Boy, they handled Auburn. That was a surprise.
40 straight points in that ball game to win 43-34.
I think Mississippi State.
Iowa State heading to Texas A&M. Iowa State, one of those teams, that's kind of a disappointment this year. The Cyclones definitely went through Ames and wiped out their football team this year. I'm going with A&M in this one.
We stopped at a mom and pop convenience store in Bluntstown.
You were off the beaten path if you went through Bluntstown.
We went through Highway. We went 20.
Highway 20?
Yeah.
Isn't that a nice drive?
It is.
Especially on a Sunday afternoon. I did that one time coming back from Tallahassee after visiting with Brady, and that is a nice ride.
And since there's no Hoggly Wogglies anymore in Bristol, convenience stores, we stopped and got
Home
chicken.
of Liberty County High School.
Yeah.
Chicken?
We stopped chicken potato logs.
Oh, my God.
And who would walk in with somebody with a the third-string quarterback from Florida State who broke his collarbone, Purdy?
Brock Purdy, the brother?
Right, of Chubba. Maybe it is Chubba who
It's
plays
Chubba.
for Florida State.
Yep.
Well, that was his family.
Really?
Yes. And I said to them, and we talked a little bit. My son-in-law's from Iowa, and we talked about different schools and all. And the last thing I said to him, I said, I hope Chubba gets in the game, but for the right reason, as in a blowout. And they said, yeah. And so they were all wearing Chubba's jersey number 12, and so.
What one observation I want to make about Florida State, wasn't it at the beginning of the season how they wanted Kendall Milton, and that chant kind of faded early on in the season for Florida State. Kendall Milton, the transfer quarterback from UCF.
Well, and some of it is just Milton. Milton was banged up. He's accepted his role. And he could be the MVP of this team. His leadership is phenomenal. Will he play at the next level? I don't know. It depends on how he performs at the combines. I don't even know if he'll be invited to the combines. But he's going to make a heck of a coach someday. I really believe it if he wants to. And I would just. And that's part of the role he embraced. He had to play 2 weeks ago against NC State because Jordan Travis came down with the flu. They had the flu bug. Not COVID, the old regular flu, which you talk to area doctors and nurse practitioners, and they said, we don't see very many flu cases. Why? Because we're washing our hands, we're social distancing, and we were wearing our mask and all that good stuff. But and Milton, just he wasn't on. You could tell there was a little bit of rust, but he's accepted the role in true Milton fashion. Doesn't whine. He's there, encouraging. Travis, at one point, Travis walked off. I think he got in the Miami game. He got his hand stepped on, and he was favoring it. So I couldn't tell if it was his hand or his shoulder. And Milton started warming up, but Travis went out and finished the game. So,
well, let's get back to our picks. We're one of the storied rivalries in all of college football, Harvard at Yale.
Harvard.
I'm going with Harvard. Joe went with Harvard. Bob's going with Harvard as well. Next we go to Iowa, Culver City, I believe, and Iowa hosting Illinois. What a disappointing second half for Iowa, but no Brett Bielema on the Illinois sideline as he has tested positive for COVID.
Oh boy!
So I'm going to go with Iowa. In
Iowa,
this one.
Great tradition, waving to the children at the Children's Hospital there, and Chubba's brother No,
Brock?
actually, Trubber's brother
at
is at
Iowa
Iowa State.
Yeah.
I think Iowa has enough, although Illinois played well at times.
We got the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech and Wanye Thomas, Niceville alum, heading to Notre Dame to take on the Irish. I'm going with Notre Dame in this one, starting to play some defense over the last couple of weeks.
I think Georgia Tech also has an offensive lineman who played at Crestview playing. This is the Rudy game, right?
The Rudy game. He was offsides.
I think the Catholics get back on track.
Leads to my story. As I was at the Florida State Notre game earlier in the year, and as Brady and I are walking to the stadium, a banner flies on a plane, and it said Rudy was offsides. I thought that was, even a Notre Dame fan, that was hilarious. But SMU traveling to number 5 Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati will stay unbeaten.
I think this is a trap game, Bill.
Shmoo? What's Shmoo with you?
I'm going with Shmoo.
You're going with Shmoo in the upset.
I'm going with Shmoo. I think Cincinnati has been reading the press clippings on how the BCS committee is not respecting them, and maybe they're not as good, and I think they're hearing some of that, and I'm going to go with Shmoo in an upset.
Bob, you heard it. Bob going with Shmoo. Number 6, Michigan at Maryland. I don't think this is going to be a very close game. I think Michigan and King Khaki Pants over there.
Against Thria Tungaloa.
Yep.
Thria. Trap game again, because you know who Michigan has next week.
So what? 2 games for Ohio State. Michigan State this week, Michigan next week. So that will kind of settle the Big Ten.
Well, you know, I guess I could say the same with Ohio State, a trap game. I just don't think Ohio State is a better team overall. And
going with Michigan?
Although Wisconsin's going to have a say in this, too. They're playing really well right now.
Agreed.
I want to pick Maryland so bad. The game's at Maryland.
I don't think it's going to be as close as the spread, whatever the spread is. But
I'll go with the Wolverines.
Okay. Clean sweep there. Virginia should have their quarterback. A big game this week might decide who will go on to the ACC championship game.
Yes.
Out of the Atlantic side of the conferences in ACC. Pittsburgh, number 18. Virginia held out their quarterback last week against Notre Dame. It showed. 28-3 win for the Irish. I'm going with Pittsburgh at home.
And they've got a pretty darn good quarterback.
Kenny Pickens?
Too. Yeah. It's not a good name for a quarterback.
I believe he's a
Pickens.
Tennessee transfer, if I remember right.
May have been.
Then we got number 21, Arkansas. The Razorbacks heading to Tuscaloosa to take on Bama.
I might pick Arkansas in the game if it was at Arkansas. But I'm going to go with Bama. They can't afford a loss at this point. It might knock them out of the top 4.
If I were to ask you, there are 3 unbeaten teams left in college football. Can you name all 3?
Texas San Antonio is one of them. They're 10-0.
That's the one I didn't think you would get.
Yeah, the Roadrunners.
Cincinnati and Georgia. The only 3 undefeated teams. I'm going to go with the Roadrunners at home against UAB.
Yep.
Nebraska against a number 15, much improved Wisconsin Badgers. And Graham Morris is finally starting to throw the rock in Marsh and in Wisconsin. And I think that Wisconsin's going to win big in this one.
I'm going to go with Wisconsin, but I think it's going to be a little closer.
BYU heading to Georgia Southern. I don't know why they schedule some of these games. I'm taking BYU in this one big.
Yes.
Syracuse at number 20, NC State. I'm going with the Wolfpack.
Wolfpack.
As is Joe. Clean sweep there. Or Florida at Missouri. 3 weeks ago, I would have said, but Florida's going to go in there and kick their behind. Not so much anymore. But I think Florida will win this game, but it will be by the slimmest of margins. I'm going to go with the Gators. The Gator fan is going with Missouri. He has a reason why. You want to know that reason? To help fire Dan Mullins. That's his reason. He's going with Missouri.
Well, and I would say to that, why would they fire a coordinator?
No, head coach.
A coordinator. They got rid of the defensive coordinator and maybe a linebackers coach. And linebackers coach, they promoted a grad assistant. Could you imagine being a grad assistant like Brady and then all of a sudden go, oh, guess what? You're now in charge of special
You're 24 years old.
teams.
You're now in charge of special teams.
Yeah, it could happen. I don't trust Missouri, although they put up some points last week. They are at home. Florida has got a lot to prove. Richardson, I think, is their quarterback, and I'm going to go with the Gators.
Actually, Jones played the whole game last week.
Oh, did he?
He did, and had one of his best games, too, for over 400 yards and 6 touchdowns in the game, but it was Samford. I'm going to go with Florida in this one. You're going with Florida. You picked a lot of Gators this year, Bob. And I know you're not a big fan of the Gators.
No, I'm not.
Number 11, Baylor, traveling to Kansas State. Always a tough place to play. They're in, I think it's Manhattan, Kansas. Mm-hmm. I was going to say Lawrence, but that's where Kansas is at. I'm going to go with Bears in this one.
Well, Dave Miranda has been rumored to take the place of Ed Ogeron.
That is a rumor out there. Joe is going with Baylor.
I'll go with the Bears.
So a sweep for the Bears there. And we got Auburn heading to South Kakalaka to take on the Gamecocks. Auburn without quarterback Bo Nix.
Really?
Got hurt in last week's game. So I still going to go with Auburn in this one.
They got to get a running game. And I would really love to be a fly in a wall and or talk to our Navarre center there.
Nick Brahms?
Yeah, and see what's going on. Passing game, Nick's just has a habit of scrambling and making plays, kind of like Joe Burrow a little bit. I'm going to go with Auburn.
Okay. And Joe passed on that Jones will been named a starter for the remainder of the season for the Gators. Not that means a whole lot, but Vanderbilt heading to number 12 Ole Miss. No reason to talk about that game other than saying it's a game.
Be a pretty good game if it was baseball.
That's for sure. Number 3 Oregon traveling to Utah.
The Utes.
Number 23 Utah. Oregon wins out there in the college football playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yes, playoffs.
I think Utah spoils the season for Oregon.
Joe is going with Oregon. I'm going with Oregon as well.
I'm going with the Utes.
Utes. Number 9 Oklahoma off a disappointing loss last week.
What happened?
And they're heading to Texas Tech. Play the Red Raiders. And a Navarre alum played there. Mm-hmm. Texas Tech, Tommy Leggett. I'm going to go with Oklahoma to get back on their winning ways. And this is a must game for them.
Yep. Going to go with Oklahoma.
So a clean sweep there. Arizona State at Oregon State. Oregon State wins out this one. There will be a matchup between them and Oregon next week for the to see who represents that side of the bracket in the Pac-12. But I'm going with Arizona State in this one.
I'm going to go with Arizona State in this one.
Joe goes with Arizona State as well. In our last game, Colorado State. Dante finally gets a warm weather game as he goes out to play Hawaii next Saturday night.
Let me guess where his parents are going to be. I
Hawaii.
would.
I would too.
If Brady Miles College played Hawaii.
You know where Irish Bill's going to be and the producer?
I think
they're going to be on the beaches of Waikiki Beach.
Sipping a drink with an umbrella in it.
That's right. And I'm going with Colorado State in this one.
I'm going to go with Colorado State.
Joe going with Colorado State. So there's our picks. Oh, we're not going to break down as we're going to talk about real quickly those of our Raiders that are still playing. Michael Carter is still having a great rookie season for the Jets. They'll be at the Dolphins this week. Auburn's Nick Brahms, they'll be playing at South Carolina. Huntington College will be on the road to Birmingham, where they'll take on Southern in the first round of the D3 playoffs. And that includes Mark Struck, Daryl Hickson, Garrett Schluter, Kyle Hickman, Tyler England, Jabari Mitchell, and Bailey Houston.
Did you see the picture? I don't know who posted it, if it was Brian Lester or someone, of all of the Huntington Hawks.
7 Raiders
in a picture celebrating after the game. I thought that was great. And with Huntington's success, if a Raider doesn't get an offer from a D1 school, Montgomery is not too far away, 2 hours away. Not a bad place to play football.
Most definitely. A lot of Raiders have gone through that program. And Coach Mike Turk, the head coach and athletic director there at Huntington College, the brother of our resident Cindy Turk Freeze.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that is her brother. So, good friends of mine, Joe and Cindy Freeze. Next, we got West Virginia D lineman Jordan Jefferson. Had one of his better games last week. He had 4 tackles, but a loss to Kansas State. They'll be at home against Texas, a team that has no direction right now.
They paid Sark a lot of money, and they got rid of a coach who had been 7-2, 7-3, 8-2. I
shaking our heads, aren't we?
I don't know what to say. I mean, Texas is a tough place to coach, man. But you've got, man. I mean, you just walk in a building with a logo of Texas to any high school, and plus Sark is an offensive wizard. The problem is, like many of those teams, is the defense.
So they'll be Texas, West Virginia this week. Colorado State, like we said, heading out to Hawaii on the season. Dante with 31 receptions for 361 yards, and a couple of scores not in last week's game, but the previous week's game. Also, still playing Eastern Tennessee State. They're at 9-1 on the season. That would be one Quinn Caballero. He's a red shirt up there. Mm-hmm. University of Louisiana long snapper James Segrest. He's a redshirt sophomore. They're 9-1. The Raging Cajuns. They'll be at Liberty this week. Hardy, defensive lineman Mitchell Hunt, redshirt sophomore. He's playing for the Bison. They'll be starting the D2 playoffs. They'll be hosting Washburn this week. And we already talked about Huntington and North Carolina Wesleyan. Mekhi Demino and Zachary Marquise, they finished up their season last year 4-6. And Valdosta State, Elijah Melendez did not play last week in a kind of a homecoming game for him against West Florida. And they'll have a bye week as they are the top seed, and they will face the winner of Albany State and West Georgia in week 2. And that wraps up that. And we'll go over the Gulf South Conference real quick. Final scores last week: Mississippi College 28, West Alabama 24. West Georgia 44, Delta State 7. West Florida over at Valdosta State 61-42. And Schnorter takes it on the Schneid again, 56-0 to North Greenville. And like I said, West Georgia will be at Albany State, and Newberry will be traveling to Pensacola to take on West Florida.
Where is Newberry?
I believe it's over in North Carolina or South Carolina.
Okay.
Not really positive on that one. I think it's North Carolina. Then the SIAC, Albany State, congratulations goes out to them as they are the SIAC champions, and they will be the 4 seed in Region 2. And they took out Miles last week, 31-0. Other games in the SIAC last week: Kentucky State beat Erskine College 31-17. Edward Waters took out Allen 51-34. And West Georgia will be at Albany State this Saturday. And then there's a game, I believe, on the 25th, they have a Thanksgiving Day game. Tuskegee will be at Alabama State in Montgomery.
Yeah, I think there's a rivalry game there that they play I don't know if they call it the Magnolia Bowl or something like that.
So that's going to wrap that up. But before we go and wrap up the season, we're going to head off with your final take of the year, Bob.
Well, Bill, it's been a great year. We started sweating our guts out early on in the West Florida game in a preseason kickoff classic. I think that I'm not sure we'd ever done one of those before.
No, that was our first one.
And the end of the season, shivering our timbers.
The last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and with wind blowing and swirling and.
Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore. That was the Crestview game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We about got blown off the roof on that one.
Yeah. We tied ourselves down to our chairs. To the game where the chairs, we tied them down, we put them on top of our head.
Which game was that? I think that was our first home game.
Was that Fort Walton?
Was it the Fort Walton Beat game, or was it the second home game? It might have been the second home game. But we had the rains came. All we had was our chairs. They went over our heads to keep
Robbie had the umbrella over the camera. That was the important thing.
That's right, and we had the equipment covered.
Equipment. We had equipment issues, video issues, but it's a lot of fun. It's a very trite expression, a labor of love. I've enjoyed every second.
And we welcomed a lot of new fans out there to our broadcast.
Gosh almighty!
I mean, we had people checking in from everywhere. The Marshalls in South Carolina. I mean, the Thomases out in Wyoming. My good friend Mike Thomas out in Arizona tuned in a couple of times before his games. He coaches out in Arizona.
Right.
We had just people from all over the place. And then one of our constants, though, we got to thank Joe. I mean, Joe, I don't think he's missed a Wednesday night show since we've been on. And Joey, he says thanks us for all we do. And we appreciate you, Joe, because you're our one constant on the other end that we know that's checking in every Wednesday night. And but thank you as well, Joe. But thank all of our fans and our listeners and our viewers. And like I said, we may run into some obstacles along the way with our broadcast, with video or whatever. But we keep plugging away and try to bring you the best product that we can every Friday night and then every Wednesday night here from Culver's.
He's play-by-play and engineer. I carry a suitcase and limp my way down the stairs and do some color. Yes, that was a green grass he fell on with a blue jersey. That's the kind of color. But
and we got to thank Robbie too for stepping up and working the camera for us as well.
Coming off one job, going to another.
And we're forgetting one guy too. Buckeye Mike made a couple appearances this year.
Not once, but twice.
He went on a road trip with us over to Jacksonville.
Sure did.
And then he went up to Pace with us and to do a game. And that was a game unfortunately you were gone that weekend.
Right.
And Robbie filled in on color, did a great job. And thank Robbie and Tiger Mike and not Tiger Mike, but Buckeye Mike. Mm-hmm. And it's just it is a labor of love. We love doing it. And we appreciate. I appreciate all you guys for stepping up and donating your time to our broadcast. And Bob and I aren't going anywhere. We're going to be here as long as the good Lord lets us. And
Amen.
We'll be back next August for a preseason kickoff game. And I'm sure we'll be enjoying 100 Feaster, a junior quarterback then, a rising junior, and the Marshall young men and. And, I mean, I heard we got a couple of promising freshmen, and we saw one of them, E.J. Love, in the backfield this last couple of games. We got some talent coming in from the freshman and sophomore class, and it should be, as I told everybody in the last game, you may have got Navarre this year. Don't get used to it because Navarre is going to be back full force again next year.
They'll have a lot of returning starters and part-time starters. And somebody who kind of knows the system in Feaster. But, Bill, I appreciate it so much, my man. You're a dear friend, and you and I have had a heck of a last couple of years with our
I want to tell you a quick
dads.
story how Bob and I came together. Bob came up to my booth a few years ago. I think it was a one Friday night game, and you stopped in and said hi. And I think it was one game I actually had to do by myself.
You did.
And Bob stepped in and said hi. And, well, 2 years ago, was it 2 years or 3 years ago?
Seems like 3.
3 years ago, it's Thursday night. I do not have a color analyst. The night before the game. So Bob sends me a message on Facebook. Hey, you still looking for a color guy? And I said, yeah, you're hired. And the rest is history. And now you can't separate us on Friday nights unless Mother Nature or some other event takes us away. But thank you, Bob, for lending some booth space with me up on the roof.
Love
as
you,
you
brother.
can hear. And up on the roof. That's where we do our best work, is up on the roof. And I want to thank you for joining Irish Bill's Twist on Sports on Wednesday nights and Navarre Raider football. Enjoy some high school football because it's still going on in the area. Whatever you're liking, whether heading up to Baker or over to South Walton or Niceville or heading on clear on over to Bluntstown or over to Walton High School, get out, catch a game this Friday night because, folks, for long it's not going to be there. And what's going to fill that void until we come back again next August on Irish Bill's Twist on Sports, irishbillsports.com, Irish Bill Sports Live on YouTube. For Seminole Bob, this is Irish Bill. Folks, have a blessed Thanksgiving, a blessed holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, or whatever you're celebrating this time of year. May it be blessed, and we thank you because to us this is a blessing. And happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you, brother. Watch for the turkey.
Oh, my gosh.
Stuffing.
The weight loss.
He's up
this
to
is not the time.
60, how much pounds?
61 pounds.
61 pounds.
Lost.
A thinner Bill Hamill. We love you, Navarre. It's
We
better
do.
to be a Raider.
It's greater to be a Raider as
Greater
well.
be-
So
greater
for Seminole
Raider.
Bob and Irish Bill and all those that have joined us this year, this is Irish Bill signing off. God bless.
Good night, Navarre.
This Black Friday.